Hello, friends. This is John, your host from Dairyland Frights and Packers Blitz. And I want to tell you, I've been using Ollie2 for my podcasting for over a year now, and I love it. And if you're looking for an easy and convenient solution for creating podcasts, Ollie2 is definitely worth checking out. It's a great tool for podcasting beginners and professionals alike who want to make their creation process easier and faster so they can focus on other areas of their show. And I use it for editing and I love it. I can edit something really quickly and get my show out there and get it to my audience. So please try Ollie2. You can try it a week for free. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose. And like I said, I love Ollie2. Check it out, and you'll love it. Hello, spooky friends. Welcome to another episode of Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest. I have back on the podcast, give it up for the beautiful, the talented Deborah Roque. Yay!
Thank you.
How are you, Deborah?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking you.
Oh, I am doing great. I love having you back on the show. Please go back to our episode we did together, the Congress Plaza Hotel, very scary hotel in Chicago, that either Deborah or I would maybe take our families there, or maybe we'll have to visit by ourselves, depending what our significant others say and everything like that, and our children say. So one thing I love about Deborah that we talked about on our last episode that I want to bring up again is her great work she's doing with her website, Paranormal Paradigma. It is worth it. I'm going to put all the links again, but could you kind of give some updates on your site and anything else you want to bring up as far as Halloween, any specials or anything you got going on?
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, really what Paranormal Paradigma is about, basically it's about exploring, understanding, destigmatizing, and reconciling the paranormal. So I talk all things paranormal and spiritual because I believe that both kind of fall into the same sphere. There's not really much of a difference. So as far as like what's new and what's cooking, I actually have a group session that I'm holding next week on the 20th. Oh my God, I forgot my own group session. The 27th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, where, anybody that's interested in sharing their stories can come onto the group session. And the whole point of the session is to share the stories, talk about a little bit about what I call a paranormal wound. So it's very similar to the feminine wound or the wounded feminine, but instead it's more of a hesitation or a reluctance to engage in the paranormal or believe in the paranormal, and also a fear of the paranormal. So we talk about healing that and what steps that we can take to, understand where that comes from, how it shows up, and also how to empower yourself, protect yourself, and feel sovereign. So that'll be next week. For Halloween. That's the special I'm doing, my group session. So if you're interested, send me a DM, send me an email, and we can get you signed up.
And everyone check out Deborah on TikTok. She does these amazing videos. They're wonderful. I listen to them all the time. One thing, I'm gonna throw this at you. I'm putting you on the spot, Deborah.
Oh my goodness.
But one of these things, maybe we'll have to figure out and do a live tarot reading or something like that.
One of these
times. That might be fun to do. Although if it's bad news, forget it.
I've thought about doing that, but I just didn't think that anybody would want to put their stuff out there because
I will.
Okay.
I will. Come on, bring it.
All right.
Let's go.
Meetings. Yes, I'm okay.
Yeah, so all right. So I'll convince Deborah to do this. We'll have to figure this out sometime and have Deborah do a live reading for me. And hopefully I'm not going to die the next week. What happens, it happens.
Oh my God. Oh, and just to mention, it's on the 26th. I said the 27th. I'm telling you, I'm just like, I'm like frazzled. But yes, the 26th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So just wanted to make that little tweak in there.
Excellent. I will share that on all my social media sites. Again, please take advantage of this. Deborah is not only an amazing person, she does an amazing job. And this is a great thing for people too in the spooky season. Maybe you've had some trauma, or maybe this brings back trauma, right? There are certain months that bring back trauma for people. Maybe your mom died during Halloween or something terrible like that. Now you associate Halloween with something, maybe, and we're not going to get that deep, but maybe something, whatever. But the main thing is, Deborah's here to really kind of look at it a different way rather than you have that, whatever you want to say, pain or whatever you say.
Yeah.
So, awesome. So, let's get right into the stories, okay? So, we're going to do some different thing tonight, a little different. Deborah and I are going to cover some creepy cryptids. So, Deborah, ladies first, why don't you start and cover your cryptid?
All right. So today I've decided to cover the Pukwudgie. I got interested in the Pukwudgie a few years ago. I didn't even know that they existed. I was actually listening to Lore, the podcast, and
sure.
yeah. So he talked about the Pukwudgie in one of like his first season episodes or something. And I was like, what is that? Like, I've never heard of that. So since then, I've been like super intrigued. So I decided that I wanted to tell a story, something probably a little different from what we've probably heard about the Pukwudgie and even maybe some Native American lore, because as you'll see, this mythology is Native American. So I'll be reading and I hope you like it. So the word Pukwudgie stems from the Native American tongue. The lore is associated with the Algonquin, the Ojibwe, and the Wampanoag tribes, among others. The root Bagwaj or Bagwaji actually means wilderness or wild. And so the native word is actually Bagwajinini, which then translates to a little person or a person of the woods or the wilderness or the wild. So if you really think about it, the word Bagwajinini kind of sounds like Pukwudgie, which is actually where it stems from. Sure. So the Native American word is Bagwajinini. Pukwudgie is like the way that us Native Americans came and we just modernized it or made it ours.
Sure.
So Pukwudgies are typically described as small creatures who dwell in the forest. They're about knee-high to 3 feet tall. Their faces are somewhat human-like. Okay. They've been described with front-facing eyes. They tend to have like larger noses. Sometimes they're described with like long ears or pointy ears. Kind of reminds me of like a troll or a goblin.
Okay. Right? Yeah, troll. Gotcha.
Yeah. Their skin oftentimes is kind of gray, maybe smooth, or they'll have fur on them. And if not, even porcupine quills, which is kind of creepy
that's interesting
and weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But they walk on 2 legs. So you won't see them on 4. You'll see them on 2.
Okay. Got 2 legs. Gotcha.
Yeah. So according to the Native American lore, these creatures have long existed in North America way before the settlers came in. And for a while, the Bagwajinini or the Pukwudgies lived actually in harmony with humans. But apparently that changed.
Uh-oh.
Yes. So one legend from the Wampanoag says that everything between the Bagwajinini and the humans was great until humans got distracted with their relationship with Mashap. Now, Mashap is a giant, very benevolent creation or creator deity. And he is the person who was responsible for creating the Cape Cod area of Massachusetts.
Okay.
So it seems that Mashap was beloved by the humans, and the Pukwudgies kind of got a little jealous. So they became a little mischievous, trying to get attention from the people. But this actually bothered the people and aggravated them. So they complained to Mashap and they said, hey, these Pukwudgies, they're bothering us. So Mashap was like, cool, okay, I'm going to take care of it. And he went and he scattered the Pukwudgies all through New England. Well, as you can think and probably determine that, the Pukwudgies weren't very happy with that. So Mashap and his wife, who's known as Granny Squannet, left for a little bit. Okay. And in their absence, the Pukwudgies returned. But this time they returned with a vengeance because they were PO'd. They were PO'd. And so instead of being mischievous and kind of just bothering people, they really took it up a notch. They started kidnapping children, burning villages. And and then apparently they even, just outright killed people.
Oh, okay. That is up a notch.
Yeah.
And this is like the first level of ghosting, right? This is like we like ghosted them. We're like, hey, Puckwudgie's cool. Yeah. Hey, why'd you return my call? I'm a Puckwudgie. Let's go. What's going on here?
Yeah, they went from zero to psycho really quick.
Ooh.
So
reminds me of an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeesh. So it turns out, so Granny Squannet and Mashup find out that they're like basically killing the tribes people, and they come back, and Mashup's like, "Don't worry, I got my 5 sons. They're gonna take care of the problem."
Okay.
Sends his 5 sons over. The 5 sons get lured and tricked because the Pukwudgies are tricksters. They get tricked by the Pukwudgies and lured into a trap where they all get shot dead basically by magical arrows.
Wow.
So at this point, Mashup is really PO'd, and he's like, I'm going to do it myself. He goes to take care of the problem.
Yeah.
But again, the Pukwudgies are like, we're smarter than you. And they lure Mashup to, I guess, this place in the woods where they shoot him with arrows. Now, the thing about the lore is it's not determined whether they kill Mashup or if Mashup just decides to turn it in, like white flag, like give up and leave.
Right.
Because he doesn't show up back in the lore after that, apparently, from what I was gathering. So it was pretty serious. Like these Pukwudgies mean business.
Yeah.
And actually, So translate that to today. Pukwudgies are actually still known to be tricksters. They're also known as killers. They lure you to the cliffs and push you off.
All right.
They shoot you with arrows, and they're known to also kidnap children. And they're shapeshifters, apparently. So they can shapeshift.
That is a heck of a combination. A shapeshifter, I can trick you. I'm smarter than you. I'm going to push you off a cliff, and then I'm going to shoot you with an arrow just to make sure you're dead. Okay.
No, and if that wasn't enough, apparently, when they kill you, they actually still have control of your spirit.
What?
I know. So it translates to the other side. Like these things are ridiculous. Like I'm just like, what?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they're probably my favorite cryptid. It's so crazy. So apparently, obviously, if you see one, you're supposed to leave it alone. Like don't interact with it because the only way that it could really hurt you is by tricking you or is by luring you. So if you don't fall into its tricks, it's said that you should be safe.
Okay.
So,
anything mention of how they trick you, Deborah? Is there anything, or could you take an educated guess of how they can trick you?
From Bill Russo. So Bill Russo is one of the people whose Pukwudgie stories kind of become famous or viral, however you want to call it. He's been featured on Lore. He's been featured on the Discovery Channel and stuff like that. Gathering from his experience, it seems like they come off as innocent and almost friendly and kind of wanting to speak to you, like to try to speak to you. So imagine, you're by yourself and you see this creature that sort of looks like a child, right? At first. Speak to you. You don't really understand what it is. And then you try to talk to it.
Oh, sure.
And then you go to it. And then that's all you need to do is really go to it. Right. And then once you're in that sort of its proximity, it does whatever it does. So
that is not, that is not good. Yeah. That's probably like other stories you've heard about, whether it be cryptids or ghosts or something where they're like a little child or something and they're crying and, your motherly instinct or your fatherly instinct takes over and you don't think, wait a minute, I'm in the woods.
Yeah.
And this thing's on, I don't know, side of a road, whatever, it doesn't matter. And okay, I'm going to go over and help it, right? And you don't think that, right? You just go over and help it. and then you're stuck.
Yeah,
Whatever you want
exactly.
to say.
No, exactly.
Interesting.
So these things are really creepy. They're apparently also where Puckwudgies found. So
Yes.
we know Massachusetts, right? Actually in Massachusetts, they're mostly a lot of the sightings happen in what's called the Bridgewater Triangle.
Right.
Yeah. So you're familiar with the Bridgewater Triangle.
Yes, I am.
So for those of you who are not familiar with the Bridgewater Triangle, it's there's basically an area of around 200 square miles. The points of the triangles are 3 towns known as, let me just make sure I have them right. Oh my God, Rehoboth, Freetown, and one more, which I don't remember right now. Abington. So Abington. So those 3 towns, they make up the points of this triangle. And this triangle is a really, really haunted, paranormal sort of hotspot, maybe even portals with vortex. Like it's just all kind of things have been reported there. So you can definitely see Puckwudgies there, but apparently you can also see them in the Midwest, sir. Especially in Indiana.
Oh, I'm not going to Indiana.
Yeah. So in Indiana, there is this state park called Mounds State Park. And it's around that park that a few sightings have occurred. And so I wanted to look for a story that people really haven't heard before, because again, Bill Russo's story is so famous and everybody knows about his story. And it's just, these things are really kind of elusive sometimes, or again, mistaken for other animals or children. So it's one of those things where I was like, all right, let's see if I can find a pretty cool story, especially one in Indiana, since, Midwest stuff.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you. Yeah. So I did find one. I actually found this by chance, and I think it's a little bit creepier than Bill Russo's story. So this comes from a Facebook user, and she actually commented her story on another podcast's page. So she just was like, I've had a counter with this Puckwudgie. Let me tell my story. And I was like, okay. So this is her story. I'm not going to say names, just like for anonymity. But I think it's creepy either way.
Nice.
So there was this woman. I'm going to call her Anne. She lived near Mounds State Park in Indiana. She's a mom with 2 kids. The oldest child of hers was 2 years old, and the youngest was about 6 to 8 months old. And around this time, it was nighttime, and it was around 2 to 3 a.m. And her little one, the infant, was crying. So she went to do what moms do and went to console her baby. And as she was consoling her baby, she was pacing around the room, doing what moms do, trying to shush and feed and all that. But she noticed that every time she would approach the window, the baby would scream. And she's like, okay, well, that's weird. So she finally goes and looks out the window, and she sees this thing outside. And it's about 2 to 3 feet tall. It's standing outside. She stares hard at it, and she sees that it's like small, 2 to 3. It's wearing like a purple gown, apparently. It had a round nose, and its eyes were glowing red. So she's like, okay. She freaks out, and she calls her younger brother. She's like, I don't know what this is. Freaks out, calls her younger brother, and her younger brother's like, you're probably just seeing things. It's really late at night. If you want to shoo it away, just make some noise. So she's like, okay, well, I'm going to make some noise. So she opens the window and starts to make noise and try to like shoo it away. And this thing just stares dead ass, like right at her, and just stays put, just looking at her like, what are you doing, lady? And so she is like, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm gonna go downstairs, or to the front of the house. I'm not sure if it was a 2-story. I'm going to go to the front of the house, and I'm going to shoo it away myself. So she puts down her little baby. She goes to the front door. She opens the front door.
Big mistake.
No. She opens the front door, and she starts to like make noise to like, shoo this thing away. And all of a sudden it darts toward her.
Oh,
Like it just like books it to her.
oh,
And she
wow.
slams the door. She gets this TV console that she had. She puts it in the front of the door and she starts freaking out. Like she's just panicking. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Once her nerves calm down, she calls the cops. Cops come by. She tells him, she didn't even know what to tell him. She was just like, look, I'm home alone. I have my kids and there's this person outside of my house. Can you come check the property? They go, they come, they check the property. All they find is a balloon outside in the front yard, I think. And they were like, oh, maybe it was this balloon that you saw and mistook for a person.
Right. Yeah. What?
And she was like, first of all, apparently that balloon was from like her daughter's birthday from a few days before or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know what a balloon looks like. Balloons don't look like people and they don't freaking run at you, you know? Like they don't, that's not what they do.
Yeah, hello.
So she was like, okay, fine. She didn't know what to do. She got her kids ready and then she went to her sister's house. Few weeks passed. She finally decides that she's gonna get some stuff and move out. Like she didn't sleep there anymore after that. Like she never went back to sleep at her house. So a few weeks later, she went during the day to get a few things from her home so that she can just, I guess, finish the move.
Yeah.
And you know, things were cool. Her family teased her, you know, as family would do, like, you know, how we are. Family is first. It's people, society. Yeah. But the thing is that a few weeks later, it seems that she was going through her photos. And she saw a photo of a picture of her daughter that she had taken the day before this event, like this incident occurred. So it was daylight. It was just the day before that everything happened. And when she like was looking at the photo, she noticed the tailgate of the truck. And she saw a face on the tailgate. And it was the same face that was staring at her that night. So whatever it was had been with them the day before, even in the daylight, just watching them. And ever since then, she's just like, she's been very disturbed and like probably even developed some PTSD, she said. And that, my friends, is the Pukwudgie.
Well, I'm not going to sleep at night. Thanks. I will call you at 3 a.m. You'll be like, John, what are you doing? Trying to sleep. That is awesome. So let me ask you this. You said there's some of the Midwest, mostly on the East Coast and everything.
Yeah.
Do they mainly come out at night? Did it say anything about night versus day, or they can come out anytime?
I think it's an anytime thing. I think probably nighttime encounters are probably just more talked about just because of the nature of the paranormal and the night, right?
Yeah.
But I think that they come out at any time of the day, from what I understand.
And are they, again, if you don't know this is fine, are they more in the woods, forest, or can they be anywhere? Like they could be in your backyard.
Okay, from what I was reading, they seem to prefer wooded areas. Like, like if you think about, they kind of remind me of like goblin and troll lore, right? So it's very similar.
Very similar. Well, great, Deborah. I live in a small town and we're surrounded by woods. And yeah, great. Thanks a lot. And I have like little woods in the back of my house. Great.
Yeah. So be careful.
Thanks, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I've told this story many, many times, and a lot of my listeners were going, "You're telling it again?" But I will tell it again because it sounds very similar. There's this place in Wisconsin I'm going to do an episode on called Haunchyville. And what happened was it was based on these circus performers, a lot of small people and everything. And they took over this town because they were sick of being ridiculed and all this stuff. And in the story, they killed a farmer who had, gone in their territory, per se. And also they, if you, like you and me, or like you and your family or my family would go in there, they throw rocks at you. and stuff. And
Mhm.
they've been known to like this is, and it's really funny though, is there actually is a town. It isn't called Haunchyville, but it's a town where these little people are.
Mm.
And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit in the sense they not as scary as that, but still, if you go near them, they throw rocks at you. They supposedly murdered this farmer who got a little too close to them and everything. But I just think that's really interesting that stories like that where we take for granted, like it's Bigfoot, right? It's
Yeah.
it's all that big scary monster coming at you, and you don't realize it doesn't have to be big. It can be small.
Yep.
And they could do as much damage or as more damage. So,
For
that's a
sure.
great story. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to get into mine now. If that's okay, unless you want to add something else.
No, I am ready for yours.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to be covering the Devil's Lake Monster. And so just to let you know, people who don't live in Wisconsin, Deborah, if you and your family ever come here, please let me know. I'll give you a self-guided tour. I'll
Okay.
show you all the cool spots. So Devil's Lake, you're probably wondering, why is it called Devil's Lake? This is really interesting. You go on Google, you can see it, Deborah, if you want to, or some of my spooky friends. It's shaped like a devil's head. So I know it sounds weird, but if you go on Google, you go on Google Maps and look up Devil's Lake and you pull it back, it looks like it has a face, and then it looks like it has two horns protruding. Not big horn, but that's why they call it Devil's Lake. It has nothing to do with the devil, other than it looks like the devil.
Right.
Or the devil's head. So supposedly there is a lake monster cryptid in there and they just call it the Devil's Lake Monster, but people would know it better as a kraken. So are you familiar with a kraken, Deborah?
Yes.
You know what a kraken is. So people who are not familiar with a kraken basically think of octopus, but on steroids. It's a big octopus. It has some different features to it. But if you watch any, I don't know, pirate movies or anything like that, the Kraken, it's the Kraken, and it's this huge monster in the ocean that pulls down ships. And it's a really interesting monster. How it got in a Wisconsin lake, I have no idea, but it is there. And so, just really quick, some sources. Cryptidsfandom.com is one of the sources I used. Also, believe it or not, there was this radio station that did a uh, hunt for it was kind of a joke, but they did it for the monster. It was like get all their listeners together and they went out on the lake trying to find this thing. They actually did a little thing on it, a little research on it. And then Devil's Lake State Park, which they talk about the monster too, which you think is kind of interesting. The Devil's Lake area is absolutely gorgeous. It's unbelievable. It's in southern Wisconsin. It's about half an hour away from me. And it is basically 27,000 acres of land. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background here, not too much. So 27,000 acres of land. Check this out, Deborah. 3 million people every year go there. It's
Wow.
gorgeous. It has a bunch of trails. It's a beautiful forest. It's a beautiful lake. And the trails, just to let you know, kind of range in difficulty. So, like if you're in your family, you take your daughter on a little trail. Everything's and in the fall. Oh my gosh, it's like a screen, shot. You know what I mean? Like you put on your computer screen. It's absolutely gorgeous. So again, just a little bit of history, kind of understand maybe how this kraken got in there. So the lake came into formation about 100,000 years ago, and when the ice age was going on, known as glaciation. The result was this ice sheet covering the area, and it took 50,000. And I'm kind of a nerd from this stuff, so people just bear with me. It took about 50,000 years for the ice sheet to retreat, and when it did, and moved and melted, it made all this land and created the mounds, and also created these different terminal moraines, which is basically like all these kind of looks like all these hills, and then kind of like looks like a little bowl and stuff. It's really gorgeous. But anyway, So again, these streams and stuff that go into it, it's a beautiful lake. And like I said, the reason they call it Devil's Lake is because it's shaped like a devil's head. There are also rattlesnakes there, so be careful. If you're climbing, everyone who knows who climbs there know there's rattlesnakes and you got to be careful. Now, one of the things is this is like-minded stuff, Deborah, because this is a Native American too. The monster.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. So Devil's Lake, like I said, it was really visited by the native Ho-Chunk tribes. And the Ho-Chunk tribes referred to this late, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this, Tui Kapak. Oh boy, that's good enough. But it really addressed somebody would probably say it better like you. But it translates to sacred or spirit lake. And then why the Nakota Sioux call the lake something a little bit worse. And they call it Mystery Bad Spirit Lake. So one calls it this really nice one, and then calls it not so great. So again, us white settlers, when we arrived, we learned about the area, and many names were created that kind of stuck. But eventually they called it Devil's Lake. Because people would say, when you get on top of the cliffs and you look out of the lake, it looks like a devil's head, like I said. So let's get right into this, because I just wanted to do a little brief history. But there have been sightings of the devil, I want to call it, the Devil Lake Kraken. So this is Native Americans history a little bit, and then we'll go into someone who maybe have photographed it. So members of a hunting party, which to me is absolutely frightening. Members of a hunting party were out on a quiet night. The water was still and the moon can be seen reflecting on the water. Suddenly, tentacles shot up from the lake and crushed the canoes, and the monster's tentacles pulled the people under the water, and nobody survived.
My God.
So imagine, Deborah, you're looking out at the lake, you're looking out at this hunting party going, and then all of a sudden these tentacles arrive and just pull everybody down, and nobody's alive.
Nightmare.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So they said the screams of those being attacked alerted members of the tribe on the shore, and they helplessly watched as everyone. That's a very sad story. Then another story, and this is depending who tells it, says that an early missionary to an area heard a story from a local chief who was talking about when some of the area was in a drought. So everything was drying up and everything in the lake. And as it did, it became easy to collect fish and everything, obviously, for their food. And one of the things they found was on the one morning, the people woke up to see a strange, apparently amphibious creature thrashing around in an effort to free itself from the dry land. And again, people describe this as a kraken or octopus type of monster. But they were going to help the creature, but they were so afraid of the creature that no one would go near it. But in time, the creature worked its way back into the water and was able to now, I guess, do what it needs to do. So there's been more stories where people have seen this thing swimming along and everything, but it wasn't until 2017 that an aerial photo, which I will put on the site, taken by a local blogger, Derek Maleth, shows a large dark shape just under the surface of Devil's Lake. And some people speculate that whatever is beneath the water could be a surviving species from the Ice Age. So nobody really knows what this is. There's also been a number of self-funded, they take the little submarine under the water and look for it and come with some mysterious pictures. I'm not sure what that is. And again, one of the other things too, most of the other stories that we just have is from missionaries who have been in the area, who are talking to the tribes, trying to convert them to Christianity, claim again they see a swimming dinosaur-like creature. And there are other things going on in these stories too with this is, again, people have said they've seen two of them. People have seen one of them. People have claimed, so you can take a kayak on the lake when it's pretty smooth water, and people have claimed that they have felt something brushed against their kayak. People have said that they've been swimming and something touched their leg, like something wrapped around it, like to pull it. But there is no definitive evidence. There hasn't been any more people being dragged to their death, which is good.
Right.
But all in all, this monster supposedly is some type of dinosaur creature or some type of kraken, but nobody's really sure. There are pictures and videos of people being on the bluffs overlooking the lake and seeing something in the water swimming. And again, this is to me really interesting because that's the whole basis of the Loch Ness monster. That it was this type of dinosaur that was trapped in the loch. Because this is for the most part a landlocked lake, but it does go off to the ocean. Obviously, there are some tributaries and stuff. So I don't know. I guess it could escape. But what's interesting to me, like I said, is that this has been around since Native American time. And like I said, in 2017, someone took a picture of this, which I saw, and I'm like, it's really hard to distinguish because it's a dark shape underneath the water, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge. But I just think that it was just a real interesting story to me that not a lot of people cover. But what do you think? Do you think they exist, and have any thoughts about it?
I mean, I personally, I'm one of these people who kind of just say, I don't know what exists out there or what doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the first person to be like, yeah, that for sure exists. But
Right.
I'm not going to say, oh no, that's so stupid and that's so silly. I mean, it kind of just fits with a lot of the lore or the stories or, sightings of other very similar lake monsters in other places. And so if those exist, let's say, why wouldn't it exist over there in Wisconsin? You understand? Like something's going on.
Yes, obviously. And you got to remember when the Ice Age came through, it trapped some dinosaurs and everything. Some dinosaurs were trapped under the ice, and some were, just trapped where once things started to thaw, maybe they survived. I don't know. It's interesting to think about it. And, the biggest thing, too, about Devil's Lake, there's a lot of other things that go with it. It's very a mysterious area. Like if you go there at night, I don't want to say it's creepy, but like the fog will roll on the lake, and you'll be out there and you'll hear like all these weird noises and stuff. And it's because Native American tribes were around there quite a bit. And not to get kind of off the subject, but like again, if you're familiar with skinwalkers, that's a big Native American. I shouldn't say monster, but things that were talked about. And I think the biggest thing with that too is, like you said, you don't know, right? People have been hunting Bigfoot for how long? Right?
Yeah.
And and also different other cryptids out there and stuff like the Michigan Dogman, the Beast of Bray Road, and Pukwudgie and stuff. So I mean, it's all that stuff, right? So awesome. So that's what I brought up. Again, I think this is very interesting. I'm not going out into the woods anytime soon. Thanks a lot, Deborah.
Anytime.
But yeah, so anything you else want to mention before we wrap it up?
No, I would just tell people just in general, one, don't get arrogant and think that you know everything that there is about, like, don't get arrogant and think you know everything there is to know about the world around you. People go missing in forests and state parks and things all the time and for no reason. So just, just don't get comfortable. That's what I'm going to say. Lakes, forests, woods, you just don't know what's out there.
Yeah, you don't know what's out there.
Yeah. This also includes crazies. So like, crazy people. So just don't get comfortable.
So now that Deborah and I scared you so you would never go camping again. And that's what we do here on Dairyland Frights. And but anyway, one of the things, like I said, Deborah, we'll have to consider doing a live tarot reading. I'll reach out and see,
Yes.
like, I'll put a thing out and see if people want to do that. Hopefully, it'd be a nice one, like I said. But again, thank you so much, Deborah. You are the greatest. You're talented. You're beautiful. Paranormal Paradigma. Please check that out. Hopefully, Deborah will join me again, for another show down the road, because I'd love to have you on. So.
For sure. Thank you so much. This is so fun. I can't wait to be on again.
Yes. So again, say hi to your ghost. Hello, ghost. And stay spooky. Thanks, Deborah.
Bye. Thanks.
But happy Halloween.